I don't over-exaggerate when I say that XDefiant is some of the most fun that I've had lately in an arcade first-person shooter game. And lately, I've been racking the good old noggin to try and work out why that's the case. You know, why do I just continue to sink countless hours into this game? Is it the fact that it's something fresh in a sea of just nothing? I mean, the game is good, don't get me wrong, but it's not exactly groundbreaking by any stretch, so what is it? What's the deal? And after some thinking, I've got a feeling it's one big ticket item that keeps me coming back above all else. And I've got a feeling that this applies to the rest of the community as well. G'day there once again viewers, your mate Kamikaze78 here, and today folks, let's have a chat about XDefiant's stance on engagement-based matchmaking and skill-based matchmaking, and how XDefiant as a result feels like it's built for fun above all else. So folks, skill-based matchmaking and engagement-optimized matchmaking. These have been buzzword terms in the gaming community to an ever-growing degree over the last 5 years or so. I dare say that the conversation around SBMM in particular really ramped up around Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 came out, and the EOMM conversation, while is still relatively immature by comparison, continues to gain traction across multiple communities in the gaming space as well. SBMM in particular, in of itself, is far from a quote-unquote new thing in the gaming space. I mean, it's been around in a far more rudimentary way for as long as I can remember at least, whether that be to ensure competitive integrity remained in the lobbies that we joined, or to ensure that new players had a means of joining the ranks without getting curb stomped. So yeah, it's been around for a while now, and I think that the original intentions of SBMM were actually well-meaning and somewhat well executed at the time. But over the years, SBMM has definitely molded into something that has inadvertently had a pretty negative impact on every game it touches, it seems. Some more than others, I will admit, but XDefiant on the other hand feels like such a good time because it makes a conscious effort to steer clear of these pitfalls that modern day skill-based matchmaking algorithms create. Before we get any further into the video today guys, if you do find yourself enjoying the conversation today, then hit the video with a like and be sure to get subscribed to the channel. We've got a lot of content coming for a ton of different first-person shooter games, so it would be great to have you part of the community here. And also be sure to come check out our Twitch channel, which is the first link in the description down below. But no, looping back onto topic here real quick, SBMM is something that we last talked about when the latest Modern Warfare 2 game came out. At the time, I posited that the technology wasn't anything new by any means, it had simply gotten too good at its job, ultimately making the core gameplay experience of any game that it touched nowadays simply robotic, stagnant, and predictable for any player over the long run. And I still stand by that view today, especially after playing a game like XDefiant, where SBMM is not present in casual lobbies versus a game like Call of Duty. Maturing SBMM technology that is used throughout the industry is simply getting too good at matching players together that all operate within such a tight bracket of skill between each other. By the virtue of the system being so good at balancing that level of skill in a lobby, it leads to there being no sense of quote-unquote skill curve at the macro level between the matches you play, and it leads to a sense of never actually seeing any material improvement as a player, despite you having the feeling that you should be getting better. And what I mean by that is that, sure, as you continue to play a game and get better at it, you may be learning the new tactics, you may be getting better at the game's mechanics, you may feel more confident in the flow of the game and how the maps flow, you may be understanding the weaponry arsenal a bit better and how to optimize your weapon loadouts for your playstyle. Regardless of that though, skill-based matchmaking in the modern day works to ensure that as you hone in on those skills, it appropriately matches you with players that are best suited to challenge you, which seems fair of course on paper, and for something like say a ranked playlist, it's perfect, because the system is now ensuring that all lobbies remain entirely competitive and only the right matches are occurring for that competitive scene. Again, all about ensuring that competitive integrity and ensuring that, you know, in instances where wins and losses really do matter, there's no room for debate that, well, a match was fixed one way or another based on the skill level of the players in said lobby. The problem with all this though is when it seeps into the casual domain, because the casual playlist in any game is where players practice their skills to get better for the competitive / ranked areas, where they also chill to talk shit with their crew after a long day, or where they just go to blow some steam and not really be their competitive self that you would see in other lobbies and ranked playlists. And in a world where skill-based matchmaking exists like it does today, it's really hard to achieve all of those things at all levels of play, whether you be someone who's just brand new to the game, someone who's an average Joe, or someone who's a top-tier player. When it comes to that sense of, practicing skills and, actually using the casual environment to hone your skills and actually see material improvement, there is no sense of progression ever felt by a player because they don't get to see consistent improvements in their results. Sure, they may feel like they're getting better based on their understanding and use of the game's mechanics, like we said before, but the results, due to skill-based matchmaking constantly pushing them into competitively accurate lobbies, always remains the same, around a, 1.0, maybe 1.5 KD average if you're lucky. The ongoing objective of SBMM to constantly make sure these casual lobbies are as competitive as possible rids any player of the ability to have those breakthrough games, those games where you do dominate and get to reap the rewards of your growth as a player. And as we all know, failure is the greatest teacher, so it rids you the opportunity to go through those moments of getting absolutely curb stomped and maybe learning a thing or two there as well. And to the second point that we discussed earlier, it also rids the player of any ability to have a chill night just playing the game, not really sweating or going for crazy games, just booting up the PC or console and blowing some steam after a long day at work or school. SBMM in casual play spaces, to the extent in which it operates now, means that players are often forced to get that gamer lean position going just to get a shred of success, rather than being able to switch off and just chill for a couple of lobbies before you come across that really, really sweaty player again that, hey, maybe you want to actually take on and try and beat this time. And again, that's true at all brackets of skill level as well as you go up the tiers. And because of all that, I stand by this when I say that XDefiant has been so much fun and such a breath of fresh air for so many people out there because it understands all of this. It understands that SBMM has its purpose, but not to the degree that it's been implemented as of late across a lot of FPS games. And because of that, XDefiant has opted to keep SBMM out of its casual modes. I remember when that news first dropped, before XDefiant had even come out. The hype around it was almost electrifying given how sick and tired gamers were of SBMM in casual lobbies, especially in Call of Duty games. And dare I say, the results have very much spoken for themselves. I mean, to an extent, it really does feel like XDefiant's take on keeping SBMM and EOMM out of the casual playlist feels like they simply want to put the fun and even, I would dare say, the humanity back into the experience of casual arcade first-person shooter games. There's an understanding here that not every match you play in an FPS game needs to be perfectly balanced, or that every player needs to be competing at the same level in every match, which means that sure, you're going to have your killers, you're going to have your average Joes, and you're going to have your little Timmies who are still learning how to grip the controller, all interacting at the same time in lobbies. But that's fine. It adds some variation to the matches you play, and it makes the experience feel less grindy, as though every match I play has the opportunity to be something different by comparison to the one that I played previously, and it makes me want to stick around longer. Allow me to elaborate here for a moment. In XDefiant, you are most certainly going to have highs and lows when it comes to your games. There will be some games where you get humbled so damn fast that you'll feel like rage quitting not even halfway through the match. There'll be some matches that feel like you're about to get done in for committing war crimes against the Geneva Convention, and then there'll be your run-of-the-mill games where you perform about where you think you should normally. That's what a healthy gameplay experience should look like in the casual realm for first-person shooter games. The fact that there is such a variation in the games that you can experience here, and the fact that, you can go through the highs and lows that give you the opportunity to either learn from other players or celebrate your awesome moments is what keeps you around in XDefiant. It feels like the KDs that you can achieve in your XDefiant games are not decided by some, hidden algorithm that's pulling the strings on, which matches you'll end up in high KD versus low KD lobbies and, all that fun stuff. It feels like your KD is entirely dictated by your personal performance and whether or not you can rise to the challenge that just comes from the people you randomly match up with in matchmaking based on your ping and where you're located. And to me, that is a surefire improvement over the alternative of every match feeling like the same old robotic, samey, bland experience that we get in other first-person shooters as of late. The fact that there's no SBMM in XDefiant also means that I can go into the session with the intent of of just relaxing and shooting some stuff with my buddies if need be. If a sweaty player enters the lobby and I decide to enter the prawn sitting position for optimal gaming performance, then I can do that. But for the most part, I'm not going to feel like I've been forcibly entered into a $1 million prize pool tournament just for logging into the game. I can relax, I can jump into a chill gaming session and not be absolutely punished for taking the load off. It also means that I, as someone who can go on some pretty decent runs at times, am not going to be screwing over any of my mates who approach the first-person shooter game space a little bit more casually as well for simply partying up with me. They can still hold their own in the lobbies that I join because there are also players who likely sit on their skill level as well that they have an opportunity to cross paths with and get some good engagements in too. I guess at the end of the day, guys, XDefiant has reminded me how fun arcade first-person shooters can be when their casual modes don't take themselves too seriously. When the developers understand that not everyone goes into these lobbies to compete for tournaments, and that sometimes in seeking perfection through your matchmaking algorithms to achieve the most even lobbies known to man, you may actually create a worse-off experience. XDefiant's approach feels more natural, it feels more enjoyable, and it's why I've continued to come back to the game over and over again, despite it arguably holding less content to grind than a lot of its competitors. But folks, with all of that said, that is going to wrap up today's video. I do hope you guys enjoyed the conversation in this one, and I cannot wait to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. But if you did, a backhanding of the like button will go a long way to helping out the channel, and if you enjoyed the content and you're new, consider subscribing to stay up to date with all future video releases as well, guys. And as another reminder, feel free to come check out my Twitch stream, link in the description down below. It'd be great to have you guys there as well and part of that community. Once again, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace out, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Take care, guys. Have a good one.